Hello YouTube, my name is Plazukas, and today's video is going to be reacting to Nixie's PlayStation 5 Pro news and details. He covers some things that I want to push back on because I've been reporting on this from not the front lines. Obviously, I'm not the leaker of this information, but I've been following PlayStation since the dawn of its release in PlayStation 1. And although they've had missteps and things that I could not have predicted, PlayStation 3's release, PSVR 2's release, there are other things that are more predictable. In the past year or two, we've seen the chipset shortage. We've seen the fact that they have talked about manufacturing costs. We know inflation is an actual issue in the economy right now, and their reluctance to decrease the price of the PlayStation 5 proper. This also is in conjunction with Xbox having their own philosophies and Nintendo having their own philosophies, and PlayStation being in this ecosystem where they have to double, triple down on the console business. And they have to be realistic about that particular endeavor. So during this video here, which I will react to, and I don't do much reaction content, but this one is going to make the exception of because it is pertaining to PlayStation 5 Pro, and it's something I want to push back on. So let's listen.
Update on the PS5 Pro from the same source that revealed a lot of the initial details on the specifications, and this comes from Moore's Law.
And we've reported on these previous specs that were leaked, by the way, from Moore's Law.
Is dead. There's a lot of interesting information here, including a price tag that could be likely in this case. But before we jump into all the details here, if you guys could do me a huge favor and hit that like button.
So this is Nixnie. It's Nixne, all capital letters. Please go to his video, like, subscribe it.
Shows your support, goes a very long way. Subscribe if you're new, and share the video to help grow this community. Now let's discuss the new information. According to Moore's Law is Dead, the console's Zen 2 CPU will be a 4 nanometer CPU, which means it will be denser and potentially provide additional improvements over the base model's processor, such as reduced power consumption, better cost efficiency, and smaller form factor, which is very interesting.
So I don't remember if I did, but I know I was going to make a video on this specifically. I wish I had, but it's not up on the channel, so you have to just take my word for it. I knew that when they released the specs for the CPU and it only being 10% more, powerful in overclock settings, that probably wasn't going to be what they shipped with. I thought that they had something more underneath their sleeve, so to speak. And this actually is not what I expected, is not what I was thinking. I thought they were going to actually do something different with the CPU, but this actually makes more sense from a compatibility standpoint, and this could also increase the actual the pathways between the GPU and the CPU, because it's a different evolution of the same chip. It could allow for these bottlenecks that are currently existent in the PlayStation 5 to be limited or eliminated in some cases. So this is a very good, solid update if it is to be believed from
Given
this
the
leak.
Pro model in the PS4 generation was a Big Mac of sorts, right?
Right, which is what Digital Foundry also mentioned, was that from PS4 to PS4 Pro, a lot of how they did their analyzation of the leak from the PS5 to the PS5 Pro information was based on what Sony had done previously with their other upgrade model.
It was a lot bigger, to say the least, and also might even have been a lot louder. So it's interesting to see that this new Pro console is potentially going to be smaller in size, which would be very...
That would be something that I would not have predicted, is the fact that it could be smaller than the Slim, which is obviously what is being implied here. That is on that I think would turn some heads.
very welcome given the size of the PS5 already, and even the kind of the slim model that we've called it ourselves is not exactly that much smaller. So I think a smaller Pro model would be really interesting. Now, when speaking about the price tag, which is obviously a big question in a lot of our minds, he believes that the system's price could fit into the $500.
So the language here is very loosey-goosey. The price range could fit into any model. Obviously, we could say it's $300. We could say it's $400. Obviously, he's taken all the hardware components of what's in the leak and suggesting what they could, based on all their other previous iterations of PlayStation hardware, what it could release at.
Price range if Sony wanted to. So I don't know if that means that they would take a small loss, or if it would be breaking even, or if it'd be a situation where they make a small amount of profit.
Okay, so this is based on Nick Snee's personal opinions, based on his experiences, and then I think Moore's Law has his own opinions. Here's my opinion. The console business is not like it was 5 years ago. It's not like it was 10 years ago. It's not like it was 20 years ago. It is unfortunately a very niche business as compared to mobile, as compared to PCs ultimately now, and as compared to any kind of Steam compatibility or overall integration between your TVs or monitors or whatever devices now will run games. It's a small piece of the pie. And I think, personally, that means that whatever the standard business practices of PlayStation previously will no longer apply. I also think that the success of the PlayStation Portable, the Wi-Fi handheld device, for $200 indicates what they're kind of marketing towards. And that is a higher end product. I think Sony, based on the fact that they've released games like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Rise of the Ronin, which is not a very good example, but ultimately Stellar Blade, and then all their other previous catalogs, which will run comparable on the PlayStation 5 Pro to what they run on the PC, will be attractive enough to say we are the high-end, high-class version, not to be elitist or anything like that, of the video game industry. We provide the games at a very high quality, at a very high fidelity, and therefore we're going to charge a premium. And that is not dissimilar to what Apple does. It's something that I thought Sony could leverage, and they may not be ideally there, but I think economically, because of the market and inflations, they could pivot to that point now, and I think they could make it successful. Now, is it going to be as successful as a PlayStation 5 Pro at $500? Obviously not. It'll sell like hotcakes, but at the cost of literally ruining the entire ecosystem of PlayStation. I'm a little biased here. I want PlayStation to be extremely successful because I want games that are made like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, that are most likely offset by what Sony PlayStation gives to Square Enix. They give them $150 million to say, hey, make this game. And they can make that game without the fear of it not selling as well as it did, which obviously it's not, which is unfortunate. But the extra money that is given by Sony because they're a hardware development company that also supports game development, or software development that also sells hardware, in their own internal first-party software that also, makes them money. Yeah, I want them to be super successful.
Regardless, we know that in the console race, it's not really about making money on your
It used to be not about that. It is now about that.
units that you're selling, especially in its first year. Even if it's the Pro model, it's not exactly important that they make a profit. Even if they're breaking even, it's more than okay. So in this case, if they could do a $500
No. Totally disagree now.
price tag, I
It wasn't even like that before, but I totally disagree more now than ever.
think not only would it appeal to more people, I think people who don't even have a PS5 would be more inclined to go out and get that Pro.
Yeah, 500 it would be. It would, but the problem is, okay, you have all these people, all these industry executives that have come out. Peter Moore from Xbox. You have the prior PlayStation executive CEO coming out and saying, Phil Spencer coming out and saying that the consoles, they no longer have increased their overall market share. There's not new people coming in. And like a couple hundred here and there, a couple 100,000 is not enough for them to sustain the kind of growth that they need. So even if you bring in new people, it's not going to be to the extent that you need to you need to make the profits that you need to make off software as well. And I think they could still get as many new people even at a higher price, because if they leverage it as a premium product, which they should, and especially with the stats that they have and the ability to support first party development to make it look absolutely crazy, and compare that with the price of the PC, I think they could leverage it. But I mean, that's still to be debated. Like, that's still going to happen. We're going to find out if it's like the PlayStation 3 launch or if it's like the PlayStation 4 launch. Who knows?
Pro PS5, unless this meant that they would drop the base PS5 substantially. So we're talking like
That's already been discussed. That's not happening. And this is why this whole philosophy that the PlayStation 5 Pro is going to be $500 is absolutely erroneous. It's not happening, because that base price of the regular PlayStation is not dropping more than $50. So it could be 400 for the digital, and then 450 for the disc version. And what they could eventually do is just get rid of the disc version, stop supporting that, and just have digital versions of the older PS5, and then have the PS5 with the detachable hard drive that you can include extras. So I think what they're trying to imply here is the $500 one would be the digital one, and then it would be $550 or $600 for the disc version, which $50 is what it is currently for any additional discs. So I think it would be the same for that. So it'd be $550 for the disc, and then $400 for the digital. That looks a little bit more attractive, but I still don't think that's possible. I still don't think that's possible. Now, here's what I will say. If the CPU stays the same, and I'm not pivoting on what I said before about $799, I think that is where they should go with inflationary costs, but it's very prohibitive. I understand that. Then I would say $699 is ideal. If these people are suggesting that these parts, and I don't know enough about parts and manufacturing to know what they cost, if what they're saying is true about $500, then yeah, I would say $699 is the target, not anything more than that. $699 for the actual disc version of the thing. So it would be $650, or I don't know how it would work out price wise. I don't think it's $100 difference between that and the disc version. So I want to say $600 to make it easier, because I don't think they would do $699 plus another $50 for the physical. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm always including this in the physical version, but that may be wrong to assume.
$150 difference, I think, would be ideal in this situation for them to probably sell a lot more units on the base PS5, and then also bring people in who are double dipping on the PS5 Pro or coming in.
But they've already said that they're not making money off the PlayStation 5 currently, and they'd lose money again if they reduced it. So I just don't think this is what they're gonna do. I think they're gonna make PlayStation Pro a premium upgrade.
And at the entry point being the PS5 Pro, which is something that Sony obviously would want. So a lot of benefits to not only the PS5's Pro size, the price tag could be very appealing, and the performance as well. And he goes on further to talk about the performance. Obviously, PSSR is a big question mark for us. What does it mean in terms of tangible results? And we don't know the answer to that yet. We just know that
we do know. We can be pretty I don't know how to say this, but we can see what DLSSR does, what FSR does, whatever the other AMD, NVIDIA equivalents do. We know that whatever a console's doing, based on all the other R&D that Sony has released, they're competent. They have very competent engineers. They're going to maximize the bottlenecks here. They're going to be able to find the balance between 1080p and 4K resolution with 60 frames per second. I know they're going to be able to. This is why people that are doubting Grand Theft Auto 6 will run at 60 frames per second on the PlayStation Pro, I think, are absolutely ludicrous. I think they don't understand how you're going to sell a console that is going to be $600-700. Now, if you're suggesting that this console is $500, then yeah, I could see why it would only be running at 30 frames per second. But that's not what anybody would want from a PlayStation 5 upgrade, because it's not even a point to upgrade at that rate. In order to even get to where we want from a technological achievement perspective from the PlayStation 5 to the PlayStation 5 Pro upgrade, you need to have some very attractive improvements in quality or resolution or both. And that comes at a cost, in my opinion.
That it's comparable to AMD's FSR and Nvidia's DLSS. It's Sony's own version. And he goes on to elaborate on that, saying that it is not a fork of the upcoming AMD FSR 4 upscaler, and it has been, in fact, completely developed.
Even better. And not and not everything that Sony makes is an engineer marvel. I listen, there's plenty of Sony products out there that are inferior to other technological or electronic devices or video game. Like there's a lot of things, but PlayStation specifically has had the most budget. They have the best R&D, and they have shown over the years that they're able to literally surpass expectations when it comes to delivering graphical fidelity. Horizon Forbidden West in the Decima engine with Kojima Productions is a fucking technical marvel.
Developed by Sony. So we're not going to see it carry the AMD FSR formula or whatever it may be in terms of what he was specifically referring to. And it's certainly not NVIDIA DLSS. It's going to be Sony's own version. And that could be a very good thing just because Sony is very good at creating hardware, and what they do has been proven through the PS4.
I did not watch this video ahead of time. Okay, I'm not like some content creators that do that. I didn't know he was going to say that, but he made a good point.
And the PS5, right? And I know the SoC is developed by AMD, but Mark Cerny has a big role to play in that as well. And we know that he has proven himself to be a mastermind in developing.
This guy's smart. And a lot of what he was saying previously was based on Moore's Law's dead analysis and leaks. So this is his own opinion, and his opinion, in my opinion, is very good.
These consoles and what they need. So could PSSR end up performing in a way that surprises us, even side by side with FSR and NVIDIA DLSS, right? So
that's the expectation, and that's what people are not accounting for. And then leverage that with the machine learning and the AI components. This could be astronomical. This could be a leap that nobody even sees, and this could mean that PlayStation 6 doesn't have to come for another 5 years, potentially. It's not very likely, but based on manufacturing costs and how successful the PlayStation 5 Pro is, that could be the reality as well.
I think there's a lot of question marks here.
Which is why you would market it as a $700, $800 piece of hardware, because it's going to be worth it.
But I think that there is potential for a great payoff, and I think that
I would say, and this is a bit of a tangent, just on the AI aspects of the new upgraded console, that's enough. Like, people are now paying subscription model for the AI technology that we currently have. What is it? Dot 3, GPT-4, ChatGPT-4, all the variations. People are literally paying subscriptions for it. That is $100 to $200 value in itself if it's as good and they market it correctly. That could just increase the value of a console, period.
PS5 Pro, if it delivers on PSSR, we could see it generate a greater appeal, especially with the rumors of, developers not understanding who the PS5 Pro is geared towards, as they don't feel like they're taking full advantage of the PS5. But I think
that is true, and that has been the one blemish of the PlayStation 5, mostly because we were dealing with last-gen games being ported to the PlayStation 5 as it is, with PlayStation 4 versions. It's not been a very optimized hardware, and normally at this time in its cadence, this is when we start seeing it. Now, I will say Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a technical achievement. PlayStation 4, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Forbidden West are technical achievements. Last of Us 2 is a technical achievement, so we don't really need that much improvement. But then again, you tell yourself, well, if we're not already getting improvement on the PlayStation 5, then why do we need the PlayStation 5 Pro when we can't even enhance what we already have? And I don't know if that's I think that's a very reasonable argument to have. But I think if you just increase the bells and whistles here and you're not looking for optimization and tweaks, which is what you usually get from a mid-generation software development team that can make video games look better on a console, all you got to do is just raise those levels instead of tweak them. Then you can get the improvement regardless. And I think that's what the PlayStation 5 Pro offers, is just them to just say, okay, we can just turn this up then. We don't have to tweak anything. We don't have to change how it funnels it because this is a PS5 hardware that has these limitations. No, we can just turn this knob up a little bit, and that's going to make it look prettier. I think that's the benefit.
When we see games like Dragon's Dogma 2, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we know that there is room for more performance.
Yeah, there's room for more performance, but Final Fantasy VII Rebirth runs really well. Now, it could look better in performance mode, obviously.
And I think PSSR is more so the answer to that.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But we'll see, because we still haven't seen what that's like and what it means, technically speaking, in terms of tangible results. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about all of this. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. If you did not enjoy the video, hit the dislike button. Subscribe if you're new, and share the video to keep the community.
So this is Nixney, Nixne, on YouTube. Definitely want you to go and like and subscribe his channel. Let me do that if I haven't already done that already. Yeah, I'm going to like and subscribe this, okay? So I recommend you all doing that as well. Let me show you this. His name is Nixney, just so I can give full credit. But I would say it's a fantastic video. I'm still standing by. You know, I may go down. I may say $6.99. That's not me changing my. I think they should sell it for $800. I want it to be prohibitive because I want it to provide a similar experience to what people are being offered in PC. I need consoles to be more competitive with PC because PC has become a very successful platform based on content creation and people, you know, being persuaded by content creators to play it on PC because it's the more superior product. I want that to kind of be equalized a little bit, and so therefore I want them to charge a premium for the PlayStation 5 Pro. That's a little bit of selfish intent from me, from someone who really wants consoles to still be competitive, and I think an $800 price point is where it needs to be. $700 I think is where it could be. And then when you go below that, I think you're losing money, and I just don't think it's worth it in the long run, in my opinion, because you're just going to sacrifice too much for what you need to get from this next mid-generation upgrade to even validate his existence. But my name is Bazookas. This was Nixney's reactions. I don't do many of these. I probably won't do many going forward, but it relates to PlayStation 5 Pro, so I thought it was pertinent. If you like this content, like, subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.